Alrighty, what is up, people of the world? It's me again, Alex Swimmer, aka AP3 Jumped, and today I am reviewing I feel so bad for doing these so freaking late, but I I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Throwing this to the side because I'm not gonna eat that shit on camera. Anyway, that had absolutely nothing to do with anything, but tonight I am reviewing I feel more bad for taking so long to review this, but today I'm reviewing the not just any episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but the 200th episode. Okay, because yeah, it only took 9 years for this to happen, but I I would say it's worth it because yeah, and I don't even know where to begin. There's just so much to discuss about the episode and what led up to this point and my thoughts, and there's literally just so much to talk about just for this episode. I mean, where do I start? Well, I'm gonna start by saying I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. I thought it was great. For a 200th episode, I couldn't ask for anything better. And I wasn't sure what the 200th episode was going to be. I had no idea what it was going to be. I wasn't sure if it'd be some sort of sequel to or rehashing of Slice of Life, but it wasn't, and I suppose that's a good thing because I feel like the whole idea for Slice of Life only needed to happen once, and I guess that's okay. I mean, I because these don't feel like the same episode at all, and that's good, honestly. I mean, you don't exactly need a rehashing of what was already a great idea, and you could improve upon it, but you could add even more to that sort of thing. But what we got it was what we got, and I'm happy with. Now, let me get into see, there's just a lot to talk about in this episode because there's there's not as much like fan pandering and fan service, but it's close. I mean, it, it, it's there's there's fan service still exists. I mean, and for this particular episode, I mean, it's not like every 5 seconds. It's sort of sprinkled in throughout the whole episode because there are a lot of callbacks to certain things. For example, we see Rarity and Rainbow Dash in an LA noir type setting, which is a reference to Rarity Investigates, which I think was a season 6 episode. I'm pretty sure it was actually. And then we see Fluttershy in her her bunny spy suit, which we haven't seen since season 3. And it's just little stuff like that that's nice to see. And just throughout the whole thing, from beginning to end, it was just a whole joy to watch, and every single character got their chance to shine. And because the whole plot of this episode was that there's this sibling competition between Twilight and her brother Shining Armor, which is something they've been doing since they were kids, and they decided to do it again this year. But what they were doing this time was they were seeing how they were trying to get to the crown in the Royal Sisters throne room. And I think it was a silver crown. Yeah, I think it was the silver crown, and they were trying. But all the while, Celestia and Luna were having their own sort of not competition, but they were having their own sort of you could call it a bet if there wasn't anything on the table. But they decided to do their own little experiment and see if the the Shining Armor guarding the defenses to the secret entrances to the throne room. Let's see. The Celestial Moon are like, well, let's see how practical this is. Let's see if we can actually put this into good use in the future. Because after several invasions and attacks to the entirety of Equestria, you would think that they would have amped up their security a long ass time ago, but I don't know, better late than never, I guess. Yeah, it's just little things like that. There's this whole other thing about Spike feeling like he wants to, because in his eyes he always, now I always saw this differently, because what I think a lot of other fans thought was that Spike always saw Twilight as like sort of a mother figure to her, or because yeah, even I thought this, but in actuality, I think Twilight did think that she was more like a mother to Spike, but as it turns out, Spike always saw Twilight as an older sister, which I think is very interesting. I actually never considered that before. Even after watching The Loud House, a show all about siblings, I never even considered that. And that's the thing about this episode. It's one of the key elements of this episode's storyline, is that there's an underlying theme of sibling dynamics, and you see that with Spike and Twilight and Shining Armor, like I was just talking about. But there's also Celestia and Luna, like I said, and Zephyr Breeze makes a reappearance. There's her Fluttershy, because they're siblings, and Apple Bloom shows up in a flashback, or what may or may not be a pretend flashback. I'll get to that in a little bit. They don't have every single sibling pair in this show, because I don't know, but I don't think having every single because some of these things I'm pointing out were pointed out to me, and for example, Scootaboo and Sweetie Belle weren't in the episode, and I agree with what other people have been saying, that their inclusion wouldn't have had a very well placed inclusion in the episode. It wouldn't have worked within the story, and I agree with those people's statements. And there's like I said, there's all kinds of stuff to love about this episode. There's also some things to nitpick about this episode, like like the Royal Guard situation, how sort of, not really doing their damn job, and something that's honestly something I didn't even consider until that was blatantly pointed out to me. Like, oh yeah, they now that I hear it, I can't forget about it, because I can't forget about the fact that the Royal Guard, they're only just now starting to sort of get a sense that they need to up their defensive, that they need to up their defenses after like the countless invasions and attack and villains that have showed up, and after all that has happened within this time. You think that would have happened a long time ago, like I said, but it didn't. that is kind of bothersome, but it's easy to overlook that, I guess. And also, yeah, Zephyr, he came back. I don't know how to feel about him. He always was sort of, I don't know. He's kind of an ass. And he's still trying to swoon over Rainbow Dash, which Rainbow is still disgusted over. Nowhere near as disgusted as she was in the last back in season 6. And it is so hot in here. but yeah, I need to cut the AC on. But yeah, Rain just sort of kept her cool, and it was like, just like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. Let's just get let's just get this over with. That way we can be done with this. And there was a lot of really there were a lot. There were also a lot of great bonding moments as well, like with Spike and Fluttershy, and Twilight got validation at the end, which was really sweet. And he won, by the way. He's yeah, actually the person who won the whole little competition, while because he enlisted the help of Luna. And yeah, and I and at the end when she was holding the like petting the goose, the hairless goose on her throne. I actually saw that picture. I saw that picture. I saw that frame in a YouTube thumbnail before I actually saw the episode. So yeah, that's pretty funny. That's honestly one of my favorite parts about the whole episode. Excuse me. But some of my other my favorite parts are more of the tender moments between the characters, and that I just said before the whole goose thing. And yeah, there's some other things I need to address real quick. I love seeing the flying hairless geese as guarding the throne. On top of the scene I just mentioned with Luna. I like I picked up on the Ocean's 11 reference right away. And this I never saw the movie, but apparently there's a line of dialogue that's taken directly from the movie. But yeah, as soon, and also this whole storyline is sort of modeled after that movie. Again, I've never seen the movie, but I still picked up on that. And I guess one last thing I want to talk about before I end off the video. And had I not watched Dr. Wolf's videos specifically, because he's really the only person I watch for episode reviews for anymore, one thing I had no idea about was the fact that this episode had a lot of input from the voice actresses, and that's honestly really freaking cool. You almost never ever see that. The only other time I can think of that has happened was when there was the SpongeBob stop motion Christmas special that happened, and I think in either 2012 or 2013. That one was written by Tom Kenny, and because yeah, it's the only other time I can think of, and that's honestly really cool seeing that. And another thing I didn't realize was that the voice actresses have been pitching ideas about 4 episodes for a very long time, actually. And something else I learned was that Tabitha St. Germain, almost said her name too quickly, she would have table readings of proposed hypothetical episode ideas at conventions. And you know, I'm glad the voice actresses were finally able to pitch in something for an actual episode, the 200th episode, no less. And I, this might happen in the Loud House now that I think about it, but either way, this almost never happens. And I'm glad that it finally has for this show, and that really paid off. That turned out to be a really good idea, and I'm just checking the time. That turned out to work in the episode's favor, and I hope to see that again at some point. I don't know how often they would do that again, but I'm hoping they would do that at least like one more time, since this is the final season. And yeah, so all in all, great 200th episode. I couldn't ask for anything better. And my favorite parts, like I said, were Luna petting the hairless goose on her throne while she's giving that stern expression too, like, That's just gold. Um, and also the more tender moments between the characters, and the Spike getting validation at the end, so that's really sweet. And now that I know how Spike sees Twilight, um, now that that's finally been confirmed, now I can, you know, I'm glad to, I'm glad I can, think about them as like nor more not like a surrogate mother and son, but I'm glad I can finally see Twilight and Spike as more as brother and sister now, because that's how Spike saw Twilight all along. And yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video, this show took 9 years for it to reach its 200th episode. This very rarely ever happens. I mean, I just did a vlog talking about SpongeBob and its 20th anniversary. And not only is it rare for this to happen, but while this is happening, the show still has fresh new ideas. It still exceeds our expectations. It still defies expectations, and it's still going strong. It's I feel like the height of its popularity was toned down a little bit, but either way, I feel like, this. I feel like from start to finish, My Little Pony is just gonna have nothing but a good run, all the way until the very end, and I don't really know what else to say. I just going to have to end off the video since I refuse to have a jump cut for this video, even though I could pause the video while recording in one take. But yeah, so if you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe. If you like the episode, then let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below, and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos I make, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, or rather subscribe then hit the bell. Yeah, in that order, because that's how you have to do it. YouTube's rules, not mine. Yeah, anyway, I'm Alex Swimmer, aka AP3 Jumped. And thank you guys so much for watching until the end. That's it for me, and I will see you soon. Goodbye. I would say here's to 200 more episodes, but My Little Pony is ending this year, and it really saddens me, but all good things must come to an end. That's like a key theme for this year. It's happening with it's happening with Marvel. It's happening with Star Wars, at least for the sequel trilogy, and it's also happening with this show and Game of Thrones, which I couldn't give two shits about. I never liked Game of Thrones. Unpopular opinion of the day. Yeah. Goodbye.